Right then team, I'm just making this video quickly today to run over a few of the concerns that I've been hearing regarding sending in your weight and measurements. And the first one to really get across is that I don't want you to pay too much attention to what your scale weight is saying. Remember I talked about at camp, if you lost, for example, 10 pounds of muscle, 10 pounds of fat, but you gained 10 pounds of muscle, your scale weight would say exactly the same, but your body fat percentage would be down, your measurements would be down, and your metabolism would be faster. You'd be burning up to an extra 500 calories a day, doing nothing. So for that reason, I really dislike weight as a measurement. In this group scenario, I think it is one that's worth doing, because particularly the people that are a little bit heavier, in general, should find that their weight comes down, but it's not a guarantee. I want you to pay much more attention to the measurements, to be honest. And just on the topic of the measurements as well, what I've had is, for example, someone said that they've lost sort of 5 centimetres from their waist, but from nowhere else. I mean, remember I said about not necessarily dropping body fat from where you want. Your body will choose where it comes from first. So if you're losing centimetres from any area, that's fine. And the way to sort of focus more on the stubborn areas and the areas you want is really to just stay consistent with the nutrition, consistent with the exercise, and just keep going for it. And it will come from different areas as time goes on. But I mean, that's the reason I'm really taking measurements as a total. I just want the total centimetres, because they should be dropping each time. And as we're taking measurements weekly, I mean, it's quite a frequent thing. Don't expect to see massive differences in the measurements. As long as we're making positive progress every time, when it comes to the months, that's when those bigger changes are going to be more noticeable. I mean, as far as weight goes today, I had someone last night say, yes, my weight's down, and then today, oh no, my weight's up. And that's just a really typical example of why I hate weight, is because they could have maybe had breakfast today or drunk more water. They could even have like heavier clothes on, for example, and that is going to make them weigh more. And that's why weight isn't relative to body fat at all. What I generally do with PT clients is to take body fat percentages, but just in this group setting, it's not a practical thing. What you could do if you like, I mean, it's really up to you, is get yourself a set of Omron body fat scales. I know you can get them for about £35, and in my experience, they do usually give a pretty good idea of what your body fat is. But for the most part, just don't get too hung up on weight, particularly if you're one of the sort of lighter clients. Your weight may stay the same, but your measurements and your body fat will come down, and that again is a favourable situation because you're maintaining your muscle mass and your metabolism is staying nice and fast. So yeah, I mean, just the takeaway points really, don't get too hung up on weight. Generally it will come down, particularly for the heavier people, it will come down, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. If your weight is staying the same, but your measurements and your body fat are coming down, in my eyes that's an ideal situation, because you're maintaining your muscle mass. You're eating enough protein, you're doing the right sort of training, and then your metabolism is going to stay nice and fast. That's a much more sustainable and healthy means to fat loss. So yeah, I mean, the takeaway points, don't pay too much attention to weight. Generally it will come down, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the day. And for the lighter people, it may not. Number 2 is to just pay attention to the measurements as a total and not as individual sites. Like I say, through consistency and just keep going with it, you'll notice it comes to the more stubborn areas, but it might just come from one area to begin with. And another one to pay attention to is your clothes as well. When the clothes start feeling looser, then obviously you know you're on the right track. Photos as well are going to be really important for results. Photos are the most important because they show a change in sort of shape and stuff as well. So make sure your photos are really clear and that you can, I mean, they give you a really good idea of what's going on. Okay, I think that's all I need to cover on this. If I do think of anything else, then I'll post another video. Thanks a lot. That's Tom out.